What if the hero was the problem? Not the villain, not the monster. The hero, the one flying in to save everyone every time without fail. Superman has never lost, never been too late, never let a disaster run its course. And Lex Luthor, brilliant, ruthless, obsessed Lex Luthor, thinks that perfect record is a confession that humanity has already lost something it will never get back. Most people hear Lex talk and assume it's ego, a jealous man who built an empire from nothing and still can't stand that someone else is more powerful. That is the easy raid, the comfortable one. But sit with his actual argument for 60 seconds, really sit with it, and something shifts. Because Lex isn't saying Superman is evil. He's saying Superman is a cage, a golden, comforting, consequence-free cage. And the most dangerous thing about a comfortable cage is that the people inside it stop remembering they're trapped. That is what Lex Luthor cannot forgive. Not Superman's power, his effect. Here is the core of what Lex is actually saying. Humanity was built by struggle. Every meaningful thing our species has ever produced, fire, language, medicine, architecture, democracy, came from being forced to solve a problem that could have killed us. Not a problem Superman would eventually handle, a problem we had no choice but to handle ourselves or die trying. That pressure is not incidental to human greatness. It is the source of it. Nietzsche called it the will to power, the drive to overcome, to master, to become something harder and sharper through resistance. Ancient civilizations understood it instinctively. You do not raise warriors by protecting children from every fall. You raise them by letting the falls happen and teaching them to stand back up. Lex Luthor's argument is that Superman has broken this cycle permanently. Not on purpose, not out of malice, but the road to dependency doesn't require a villain paving it. It just requires someone who cares too much to let consequences land, and Superman cares infinitely. That is exactly the problem. Psychologists call it learned helplessness. Run the same experiment long enough, where no matter what the subject does, rescue always comes from outside. And eventually the subject stops trying altogether. It doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual. First you stop preparing for disasters because he'll handle them. Then you stop developing the technology to handle them yourself. Then you stop even believing you could. A generation grows up that has never seen a catastrophe reach its natural conclusion, never watched humanity claw its way back through raw ingenuity and refusal to quit. They've only ever seen the cape, and without realizing it, they've outsourced the deepest human instinct, survival, to someone who isn't human at all. Lex Luthor sees this happening in real time. He watches a civilization slowly forget its own strength, mistake comfort for safety, and call it protection. The muscle wastes when it is never used. The mind softens when it is never tested. Lex does not believe Superman intends any of this. That is almost what makes it worse. The most effective cages are built by people who love you. So Lex Luthor refuses. Not because he can beat Superman. He probably can't. Not permanently, but because someone has to stay in the fight. Someone has to keep asking the questions Superman's presence makes inconvenient. Who are we without the struggle? What is courage worth in a world where consequences can always be reversed? What does it mean to be human when a god has taken the most human job of all, surviving, off the table entirely? Lex Luthor is many things: a criminal, a killer, a man whose methods make his philosophy easy to discard. But the philosophy itself does not collapse just because its messenger is broken. The idea that humanity must remain the author of its own fate, that we must keep earning our place rather than having it guaranteed by a Kryptonian with a god complex and good intentions. That idea is not crazy. It is ancient. It is the argument of every person who ever looked at comfort and said, "Not yet. I'm not done growing. Lex Luthor is the last human who means it. Here is the uncomfortable part. This isn't just about comics. We live in an era of optimization, AI systems that solve problems before we understand them, algorithms that choose our content, platforms engineered to remove every point of friction. And we are grateful for it, every single day. Maybe Lex Luthor's argument is not a comic book debate at all. Maybe it is the most relevant question of the next 100 years. What do we become when we stop solving our own problems? If this cracked something open for you, if it changed how you see the story or the world outside it, subscribe. This channel exists to find the ideas hiding inside the stories everyone thinks they already understand. Go deeper at vortexapp.ai. If this hit different, you need to check out Vortex. It is a private platform where ideas like books like Lex Luthor's argument against Superman. Superman's existence destroys humanity's drive to self-improve. With a god protecting Earth, humans become dependent children. Lex Luthor is the last human who refuses to kneel. Come alive, not just content. Immersive worlds, AI that actually knows the material, a community that goes deep. Private beta, limited spots, link in bio. Do not sleep on this.